So it's a bit more effort to calculate this across a lifetime, but with calculators and computers, it can be done. But this program does it, and it gives me all the dates. So that's the one we're conjuncted. I put the conjunct the ascendant. So this is in a Photoshop document, right? So I would go in, hit the comment, boom, highlight, and where it hit the ascendant, opposed to the ascendant, it hit the descendant. There in 2018. So in not 2018, in November 16th. So it's going to hit my descendant just in a couple of months. So on that day, November 16th, I'm going to make sure I have some special function going on. Whether I'm chanting or meditating or just be alone or just go by nature, I'm going to do something there. I might try to do it with people that's on my descendant. And then it goes up and hits it'll hit the midheaven. This is last year, so in the February 9th, it was on the midheaven. Then on, so the dates, I put the dates in here. I just wrote I put the dates in, so I have the timing for this. So I have my 2018 to 2019. There's my birthday to birthday. Moves around November 16th, February 9th, May 17th, and it hit the IC on August 10th. And so that's the first level that's going on. It's hitting these tuning points. So I put this big circle here because that's the big meditation point. And along it, as we went along it, there's also dates for when it touches or conjuncts or opposes the ascendants, the planets. So in the printout, it does all of those, but I just marked them in. So there are other points you can do a sensitive meditation or tuning in to each planet at this time. If you want to focus on it, you'd focus on the you have the planet, and the planet has this whole hexagram and sign. So you're going back, whenever it's on that planet, it's touching the same hexagram signs, pentans and subpentans as in your natal chart. Boom. Well, they always are in your natal chart, but as the planet's in your natal chart. So it's really conjuncting that planet. And it's accentuating the degree that on the first level the planet's moving through this 1 degree. It's extending that and trying to push that degree agenda. Here's this agenda for this year. I got this degree. You got to know it, my descendant. You got to know it, my midheaven. You got to know it, Uranus. You got to know it, Moon. And this is my agenda. And some Pluto might say, so what? But it's still having to notice it. It's going to hit the ascendant. You're going to have the cycle to do with experiencing that degree or that symbolism or the implications of that degree or everything that ever happened in that degree. The memory banks of the universe that have happened in that degree. There's been eclipses. There's been stars, maybe a comet went through it for a day or two, 1 year. And these things accumulate. They're the vibrations within the degree. The degrees are always absorbing light, absorbing experience, and they're holding in the memory tracks of the degree. So as we're looking at the language of the stars, the language of stars, we're really looking at the poetry of the stars, the poetry of the degrees. We're watching the IC go through, and we see it's touching those vibrations. And how much of it do we make real? It depends how alive or consciously you're living your life. For many people, this is subliminal stuff. It's not even real. It wouldn't even seem real. But if someone's meditating, someone's living a sensitive life, someone has built up an inner awareness, these are really affirmation moments. Okay, so here I've added in the other 2 points of when it touches, kind of conjuncts the sun and when it conjuncts the moon. 2 other primal points that would be really good to meditate. Your motivations. April 1st, deep motivation hits my moon. So next year will probably be April. It'll probably be on March 31st. But it's just, it comes around, but when it's there, it's worth family, emotional things are going to come up. Things from the past, memories. Do meditation on that. This is affecting your motivation. It hits my sun, July 5th. It hit my sun. Again, another powerful moment. Am I motivated by the light, or is the light aligned with my motivation, or is my purpose? So you can think it through, but it's really an intuitive thing. These are key moments, but conjuncting any planet would be a key moment. You're tuning into the energy. At the squares or oppositions, you really would be meditating to balance the energies, to block the negative sides of it. See, if you took your chart, you could measure each degree and see all the aspects that 1 degree makes to your chart. And that's all accumulated in that 1 degree. And that will be the same, every planet going through it by transit, by anything. When it hits that degree, it's hitting all those same aspects across your chart. Every degree to every other degree has its own aspect too. So it's measuring, but this information, how do you measure? Equals MC squared, but the information that's being gathered is being collected in these degrees, and this becomes the 360 degrees of life of the initiate's life, or of a person's life. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Now I'm going to just go through each person's chart in the class to go over it to see how their pattern works. Now, we don't have anybody's story. We don't have the real stories to come back, but we can make it personal so you can see how this person's life went in a unique way and is different than the next person's. And we'll get an example of how this, we got 13 charts, 12 more charts to go through this. So we're just going to take a few minutes looking at it, but I want you to get used to seeing it. So we have the basic progressions, and that's the first thing we did was just the progressions across a lifetime. This is July 5th, 69, with the Virgo ascendant. Starts with Virgo ascendant conjunct Pluto, but really it doesn't hit the Pluto until born in 69, not till 73 that hit Pluto at age 4, 3 or 4. So from her birth till age 4, there was a tough thing going on with the Pluto. This is just the identity. There was an identity of running into fear or confrontation, not feeling necessarily loved or close to a tough thing there. Then it went past that. You not only hit Pluto, hit the south node as well. So there's some difficulty around the family or mom. But then in 1981, which would be, so that's 12 years old. 12 years old, it hit. Let's make this a bit bigger to see it. Okay, there. So yeah, so then it hits that was in the node in 81. In 83, it hit the Jupiter, went into Libra, hit the Jupiter. So 83 is 14 years old. That's puberty, meeting people, getting out. That's a whole new change of identity coming out of the Pluto beginning. And then again, by 1986, her identity hit Uranus and just shook up her outlook. Her inner outlook changed. She would be the rebel. She started breaking away. She started having a nervous reaction. I see it different. I see myself differently. That I'm not who I was brought up to be. I'm not like this alternative identity would start to evolve. Then it didn't really hit any conjunctions or oppositions until it gets to 2032. Then it will oppose Saturn. That's not yet. That's still coming up. So the thing with these, they're long-term factors. So it's very useful. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more, bring it in a little bit more so I can see it all a bit better. And here. So to calculate this, you can get the main progressed descendant at a wind star and get the main printout, giving you the wind star printout for the aspects to the ascendant as you go along, and then you can set it just for conjunctions and squares and oppositions to get the main things, and you get the main points along it. It's not going to get down to where I see in her lifetime. This is 90 years. It's not going to get all that way, but it'll oppose the Saturn in 32. It'll conjunct the Neptune in 2057, and then it'll oppose Venus, then it will conjunct the Mars. So when we're seeing our older years, we can't imagine what they're like. So there's a tendency, oh my God, am I going to lose it? I'm going to get sent out. What is going to happen? But you don't know. It's a mystical thing. It could be really a spiritual awakening that's happening at those times as well. It depends how you live your life, what you've invested in. So that's the ascendant. So it's the same chart with the ascendant, but the descendant had the same aspects, but wherever it's a conjunction, it would be an opposition. It would have it there, and it's the same date, so I didn't redo the dates to put it on. But it's going around, it's triggering off sensitive points from your whole natal chart, The progressions really are evolving from your natal chart, and they're affecting your natal chart, and they're responding, and they're causing responses to points in your natal chart. So the main factors are the transits to the natal chart, progressions to the natal chart, and you got the progress to progress when you're doing the moon phases. But yeah, so her ascendant started in Virgo, but by about 1982, it went into Libra, and the focus on relationships and being appreciated, being liked, becomes much better, much stronger for 30 years. So she has the Virgo, but every Virgo ascendant kind of goes through that Libra phase. Okay, so the main one I want to work with is the IC. Look at the IC. So here we have the IC. Our IC is down in Sagittarius, 70 degrees. 1978, April 11th, it opposes Mercury. So this is her inner motivation affected, the way she thinks, what she does. Somebody, it's opposing Mercury, so somebody, a parent or something, probably, or a teacher, somebody would have had a strong mental impression that challenged her inner sensitivities. And that would be there for a year or two. Problem teacher, parent thinking for you, somebody like, it could just be your sensitivity to that. And so you'd have to see what was happening at that point. Then 97, the IC was opposing the sun. So her IC, most of her life, it opposes the Mercury and the sun, nothing else. And if you take the squares, then you'll see other things are certainly happening. But on the primary level, there's not conjunctions, there's a couple oppositions. So she's reacting. Her IC and her inner motivation is reacting more than pushing. Like mine was like that too. I had Venus, but then it was all reacting, no more conjunctions. But my MC was very conjuncted, so I've done all kinds of other career things. But my inner motivation, my inner voice, was not always supported outwardly. But these are her two turning points: 97 when it opposed the sun, and then after it opposed the sun, it started moving on into the 5th house of creativity, and it's going to go up to the 6th, go through Aquarius and Pisces, and when in 2064, if she lives that long, that's in her 90s, it's going to hit the descendant, oppose the ascendant, and it's going to oppose Pluto. So those are trying times at the end of life with a big change, where she's not, at that point, she wouldn't be so much in control of things. She'd be more adjusting to whatever had to be, people were saying how she had to live or whatever. But like I said, you can take these, you can go through it, you can get the aspects, you can go in and get the hexagrams, you can get the pentans. You can find a lot more information about any of these points. But looking at it generally, it's hard to have a general sense how our inner motivation and our inner sense centering evolves. It brings in these other genders, it runs into, so the upside, there could be crises with different people or confrontations coming that have a deep, profound inner effect, more disproportionately than the transits that are going on.